Yes. Hey everybody, it's Matt, the Dice Chucker, and I'm joined by Jen, the board game librarian. Together we are the Literary Gamers. Yay! And
sloughing it up today.
okay, so
Did you miss us?
we're here with the new addition to Rate the Collection. Today we're taking a look at I. Now the wonderful thing about I is that there's 10 games exactly, which makes it really nice. We don't have to rush through any reviews.
It's still gonna be a 40-minute video.
That's okay. Are we ready?
Yes.
All right.
Number 10 is Imperial Settlers by Portal Games. It is a 7.5 in our collection, and at one point this game had a lot more love in this house. I feel like it's really dwindled over the years. Every time we go to call a game, that's like, Imperial Settlers? And I'm like, but the Amazons! And I think that saves it.
As far as, like, the game itself goes, so much has been taken over by Empires of the North now that Imperial Settlers... I haven't tried Empires of the North yet. I still do like Imperial Settlers. It's just It is always one that gets talked about when it's time for a call, and it's nothing against the game. The game is designed really well. It's just too many games.
Yeah, it's quirky, it's cute. The artwork, I think, is adorable if you're actually looking at the artwork. A nice tableau building game, you know, where you're building your engine, and but yeah, it is one that when we pull it out, we're like, oh yeah, we do like this.
Number 9, this is me, so I'm odds today, is IceCool at a 7.875. This game is pure fun. I don't think there's any other way I can describe it. This is from Brain Games, I believe.
I believe so.
The box is the game. All of them are, but I mean, you actually pull the parts of the box out and you clip them together with the fish, and you're trying to flick. One person is the penguin that's trying to catch all the other penguins, and you're flicking. The people who are the other penguins are trying to get away and trying to collect their fish. Oh, it's good fun. It's really good fun. Hurts, but it's good fun. Sometimes you go to flick and you try to make them bounce, and that I think it must be a weight on the bottom of it. You go, ah.
Yeah, it's a great one to teach kids dexterity. It's
Yes.
really popular in our children's collection at my library. I think the concept of, one person is the hall monitor, the penguin hall monitor, and the other is like the penguin skipping class and trying to collect the fish is super cute. And, like Matt said, that the box, you just pull out all the nesting boxes and clip them together with the fish, and off you go. And you can play it very free form.
Yeah.
Too. You don't have to play it with like the rules or instructions.
Who needs rules?
Who needs rules?
It's a school. Who needs rules?
Yeah. Yep. So IceCool. Number 8 is Istanbul, the dice game at an 8. This is from our version is Alderac Entertainment. And I was hesitant about this because we love Istanbul. Spoiler alert. And we weren't sure it would quite be as good or what we wanted it to be. But that was like the same summer that we got Nations, the dice game.
Yep.
So there were a lot of dice games in our house, and they were all doing great.
And that was right before the dice game became a roll and write.
Yeah. So that was what, summer 18, maybe? 17?
Yep, 18. Everything that came out that was the dice game was, shocker, a roll and write.
Yeah, so I mean, it boils down Istanbul to a 30-minute, maybe,
Yeah.
2 players.
Setup is much easier.
Oh, yeah. Much easier. We've played this more than we've played Istanbul. Definitely in the last. Although, did we purchase the folded in space insert for Istanbul?
We did, and it all immediately cleared up a lot of the issues with setup.
Yeah. So that's what I have to say about Istanbul, the dice game.
Yeah, I mean, it's solid, There's not much more to say. Number 7 is It's a Wonderful World, coming in at 8. This is a drafting game where you are drafting, but you're also, when you're producing, you are producing goods in a certain order, and you'll also be able to, excuse me, be able to build some of the cards you're trying to build, and then they can still activate that turn based on how the production is ordered, and you get bonuses, and it's very much a drafting game, but there's just something about it that's really nice.
Engine builder,
Yep.
I think, because the more cards that you complete, the more resources that you're potentially, depending on the card, able to collect, and it does ramp up. It's 4 rounds.
Yes.
We have not played with the expansion,
Not yet.
and we have not played the one. I'm not even sure it's fulfilled on Kickstarter yet.
Don't think so.
Yep, mush brain. This was introduced to us by our friend Fred, and I can only see this game rising.
This is also a game, the few times we've played it, just you and I have no idea who's winning until the score pad comes out.
Oh, I do.
Should be a clue, folks.
I really love this game.
Okay.
I think it's pretty intuitive too once you get used to the symbology. It plays really well at 2. It's
Which can't be said for all drafting games.
correct. And
Seven Wonders you might say to on the box, but you ain't a 2-player game.
no, definitely not a 2-player game. So I think this could be a good alternative to folks who play mostly 2-player and want a Seven Wonders experience, but can't get Duel or whatever.
And for some people, Duel is not really a drafting game. To them, at least in It's a Wonderful World, the 2-player, you still get the drafting element to it. You've got the patterns that you're trying to expose.
Number 6 is Inish by Matagot at an 8.125. I've still never played this game. I have. Wait, no, I can't say that anymore. I've played it. We've played it with 5, 4. What does it go to? 4.
4.
4.
When did you play with 4?
With game night.
This past one?
No. Last year.
Okay. Yep. Oh, okay. I remember that now. Yeah.
This is a real trippy game, folks. I know. I mean, for everyone who knows Inish, I mean, it's got that really like 70s psychedelic looking artwork with the hair. I just feel like the hair is a thing in Inish. It's I'm gonna edit that out too.
Okay. You want me to talk about it?
Sure.
Okay. Inish is it's an interesting game. It's been the most difficult game to teach people. And I think it's because when I say, I can't teach you everything, you do what your card says. I teach you the basics of combat, I teach you the idea of the drafting, and I just say, you do what your card says. Because it's honestly everything. That's all you do, is you do what your card says. And it is still, I think people are expecting more from it. And I think that's probably what it is. Because when Inish is the third in that series, it was Cyclades, and then Kemet, and then Inish. And, excuse me, if people had played Cyclades and Kemet, they're most likely expecting something more from the design out of Inish. But it's not. It's very simple. And it's very Euro when it comes to its combat and when it comes to just how the dudes on the map evolve. So I think that's one of the reasons why it's one of the more difficult games for me to teach. You and I played this about 4 times before everything started clicking into place.
Yeah, I agree. The strategy comes in the timing on your cards.
Yep.
And the ones that can be dual. You can do it for this, or you can do it for this. Making that decision.
Mm-hmm.
And
You have the Epic deck,
Yep.
which gives you special bonuses.
that epic deck is definitely something you cannot ignore. I think if you
It's
are
rather
looking to win the
Epic.
game. Yeah, it's just such an unusual game, I'd say. Interesting playing it with more than 2 players because there's a huge lot of cards that we had never seen.
Right.
That are not included in a 2-player game. So I liked that. It gave a different experience. I don't know if there's an expansion. I don't think there is.
There is an expansion.
There is.
We don't have it.
Okay. I think for us it was just not worth it.
Right, and I wouldn't say that, I would say it because at 2 players the game is fine. I would say that if we played more often with 3 or 4, then I would immediately get it. Number 5 is a game, and this is going to get me a ton of thumbs down, because I'm about to say this game got robbed of its spiel win, is Imhotep at 8.125.
I don't think so. There's people...
Come on, code names? You kidding?
There's a lot of codename haters out there. So.
And I'm one of them. Sorry.
Not for us.
Sorry.
That's what you have to say about Imhotep?
No, it's I think it's a really elegant design. This is Phil Walker Harding, Kosmos Games, and just the amount of decisions you have with a simple action. Do you go to the quarry and get more rocks? Do you put a rock on a boat? Do you move a boat so somebody else doesn't put anything on that boat? Just the amount of stuff that can happen in Imhotep, and with the expansion, the amount of variability that comes with it too, I think is quite excellent. We did play Imhotep the Duel, which is fine. It was the same thing, but it gave us pretty much the exact same feeling as Imhotep. Jen and I are not people who tow around each other when we play games 2-player. We go at it. So we weren't afraid in Imhotep to attack each other. So for us, there was no major difference between Imhotep the Duel and Imhotep. And I think that the support for Imhotep is a bit higher.
It has seemed like it over the years,
Yeah.
for sure. It's a classic Phil Walker Harding design, and that it's very the design
simple.
itself is very simple. Yeah. I would say this is not for folks who cannot take that, because there is, when you're moving a boat, and
One of the most evil games in our collection.
yeah, probably. Again, it's all in good fun, hopefully. But I think the selling point of Imhotep versus the dual version are the chonky dice, the chonky blocks. That you could just stack them, you can play with them while you're waiting for your turn, you put them down.
Show everyone your butthole today?
Oh boy. I think it's really great.
There it is.
Pretty easy to set up.
You gotta put the black bar over that.
Wow, so I guess we'll move on.
Alright, number 4.
Number 4 is Indulgence by Restoration Games. 8.375. A trick-taking game, and this was a revision of...
I think it's a revision of Coup. I could be wrong. That's what I thought I heard another board game channel say. Coup d'etat. Sorry, not Coup, the game out of indie cards and games. But Coup d'etat. No
So, I love the theming on this. This is another one where the selling point are the multicolored gems.
Well.
And the artwork.
Oh.
The artwork on this game...
It's fantastic.
I can't... There's one lady who's holding, a turkey leg.
There's one lady who's got a very full wine glass, and both her eyes are very glazed over.
She looks drunk.
She looks drunk. Okay.
She looks real drunk.
The theme is, this is Renaissance Italy. You have the 4 big families that came out of pre-Reformation Rome. The Borgias, the Sforzas, you had the Medicis in there, and there's one other that's escaping me. But basically, it's a trick-taking game where you're given a rule. Covering the microphone. Yeah. It's a trick-taking game where everyone's given a rule that they have to follow. But you flip that card over, and it's a sinner, and you get asked if somebody wants to break that rule, but you have to break that rule in a shoot-the-moon aspect. And I just think that's a really neat thing. If nobody wants to be the sinner, then you just all have to follow the rule, and you'll have to pay fines for basically what you did. If you haven't gotten a chance to check it out, please do. It's a really great trick-taking game. It is one of the few games in this house that has a 3-player minimum. It's that good.
Yeah, it's one that we can usually get people to play with us. I almost feel like the 3 rounds are too many.
Usually someone's bankrupt by the end of round 2.
Yeah. I feel like at the end of 2 rounds, you could probably call it a day, that it's pretty clear who is going to win. That's maybe my only criticism of this game, but I do love it. It's very portable. It's oversized tarot cards that have won in a very Jenn epic fail that had some...
Our cards smell like beer. There you go.
Came to a brewery for a game night, and I got very animated with my hands and arms like an orangutan, as I've been called. And
anyway, it's fantastic. Restoration did a fine job. I know that they had come out with, was it Stop Thief that went to Kickstarter that year, or was it Downforce that went to Kickstarter?
Might have been Stop Thief.
Stop Thief went to Kickstarter, and at their first Gen Con, when they were selling things, because the Gen Con previous, they had announced the company. Indulgence had come out along with Downforce. Both hits for them, I think. Indulgence isn't seen as much anymore on the table, but I do remember at Gen Con, because that was like a trick-taking year, too. You had Fox in the Forest, Skull King came out that year, too. There was a few other trick-taking games that were big. But when I went into the gaming hall, saving the equipment from the little fangs out there, folks. But when I went into the gaming hall on the first day after walking around for a little bit, I saw lots of those colored gems from Indulgence just on the table, people playing the game. It's a great little game. Check it out, folks. Number 3, and I'm so happy I'm doing number 3 so you can do number 2. Number 3 is Istanbul at an 8.375. This is probably one of the most unique, and I'm going to say worker placement games, because it technically is, wouldn't you say?
Worker movement?
Worker movement that I've ever played. Now, somebody's going to go, well, Matt, have you played Yokohama? Uh-huh. I like Istanbul better. And it's just, I think it all has to do with the grid versus the upside-down pyramid. You know, I feel the grid is easier to move around, and it's more engaging as far as player engagement than the upside-down pyramid from Yokohama. I could be wrong because we haven't tried Yokohama the Duel yet. But anyway, Istanbul, you're trying to get, I'm going to say 6 gems, because we've played it at 2 the most, and we played it at 2 the most, and in 2-player you always needed to get 6 gems, but in the second expansion, when it was Grand Bazaar, I think our iPad's gonna move because the cat's chewing on the stand. So anyway, in Grand Bazaar you needed 6 gems, or it could have been the first expansion. I can't remember, but it's a great little game. It's a worker movement racing game. So I know you fell in love with it the first time we played it.
I did, and then it's just we play it, and apparently incorrectly. You're only supposed to do Grand Bazaar at the full 5 players. We do Grand Bazaar every time at 2 players.
And we still have a good time.
I don't care. We're having fun. I love the coffee. I love the letters. I love zipping around. Anytime I can basically shop in a game. This is also one that I tend to win more than I lose.
I think I'm doing well.
I love games.
And then I look up and she's like, I've got my 6th gem. What have you been doing?
Oh, that's like what happens to me in Tiny Epic Pirates. My brain just went,
No, my brain doesn't go, oh, I know what I'm doing. It's just I'm not doing it fast enough.
Okay. Alright. Well.
Speaking of cats.
Number 2 is Isle of Cats by City of Kings Games at a whopping 8.25.
6.625.
8.625. Wow. Mushy brain. Love this game. We hadn't backed it when it came out last year. I think we got it right before COVID.
The first week of COVID, one of our FLGSs who was doing curbside had gotten it in that day, and I was like, gotcha, I'll be right down, because what I had seen about the game on mainly Instagram, I knew you would love and that I would love. We had chosen to back Calico, which is also a very great game at the time, which is why we didn't back Isle of Cats at first.
We did do the Kickstarter for the Kittens expansion, and there's like a little roll and write too.
There's always a little roll and write.
Yeah. So, I love this game. I love how funky the cats are, that this is just like a world in and of its own. You're a pirate ship that's sailing along, saving these cats. There's cats that are licking their buttholes. There are cats that are doing downward cats. There's cats that are doing ballet poses.
Twisted around.
Yup.
The artist knew.
Love it.
The artist must have had cats or has cats.
Person has cats and is speaking to me personally about these nunchucks. We haven't played the family side. I suppose you certainly could. Our friends up at the Family Gamers, they have played it with the family side and really like it. Oh, Stonewall. Jesus. I just love this game. And at 2 players, you don't even get anywhere close to getting through the entire stack of cards when you're drafting the cards. So you're drafting cards to play stuff. You are doing the tile placement for like set collection. You're collecting gems. You're covering up rats. Fantastic game.
Yeah, I got nothing to say. I mean, this is a game where when we're both in a funk, it helps us get out of a funk.
We should play Isle of Cats.
Whatever you want.
Okay. All right.
I didn't think this would happen with number 1. We've played our number 1 game once. It's been a year since we've played it.
We need a rematch.
And I don't think our opinions have changed at all. This is Imperial Struggle from GMT. If you remember back in the good old days, Twilight Struggle was number 1 on BGG for years and years and years until pandemic knocked it off. Imperial Struggle is kind of, I would say it's definitely the sequel, because it's not the same game at all. It has some shared concepts, but it's not a full map of trying to influence one way or the other. And there's not as much card play in Imperial Struggle. It's England versus France during the Regency periods. Is that what they call that nowadays?
From like the 1600s to
all the way to 1776, because you have to fight the revolution. What's different with this one is you have your standard turns like you do have in Twilight Struggle, but then you have what's called war turns. War turns are on a separate board. They're done by the era that they're in, and you throw support onto the war board as you go on, and you get bonuses. And this is also another game that can just end immediately if one side has, I think, all 4 of the end game bonuses, not end game, end of round bonuses at once. They win. You know, this game you are short by 1. This game has debt that you can use for extra points. There's just a lot going on. It's a GMT game, so I can't explain everything that's going on. I'll be here all day. But there's definitely a lot going on that makes this one kind of shine thematically, mechanically. There are some translation errors I would talk about thematically. Like things shouldn't be in the game that are in there due to its theme.
Colonization map?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's some of it's thin, other parts of it are a little heavy. So it is a historical game. So sadly, there was just some things that didn't translate as well as it should have, perhaps in the process. It's not awful like some other games that I've seen, but at the same time, it's still present, and that's something for another video for another day. But it's a great game.
It is. Played this game and thought I had you, and then I was like, I'm being too hard on Matt internally, and then I let up, and then he won. I almost flipped the table. I was so mad at myself. I was like, ah! So that's a note to self.
All right.
I love you.
So those are our I games. Do you have any I games that we didn't mention that you're like, oh, how can you not mention that game? It's my favorite.
Oh.
So.
Wow, he's going real hard on the internet trolls tonight.
Anyway, if you're a troll and you didn't like that, give us a thumbs down. If you liked the video, give us a thumbs up. If you subscribe, make sure that you turn on the notifications and all your the things. Do the things. You know the things. You hear everyone else talk about the things. We don't need to talk about the things. All right. See you next time, everybody.